Okay. Is that the end of it all? It is. Did not see Master Yun Kafai. Saka Fu. Saka Fu. That's fine. All right. Oh, yep. Reen's voice actor was the same. I don't recognize anybody else's name. But, that's fine. Trails into Reverie. Conquered. Ray. Yeah. I don't know if I have as many thoughts as I would have wanted, I suppose. I guess starting from the top, my overall thoughts on this game is that I found it quite enjoyable. I will say that I have no idea how it would hold up to scrutiny for like me in the future, but at this moment, I had a lot of fun with this game. One of the reasons for that is that the storyline and the structure of the story deviated from past Trails games in a way that I enjoyed. I did not like the act system where you had to jump between different paths and things like that. But aside from that, I really liked how there was a snappiness to all of the story progression. It was so much nicer because in past Trails games you rise up to a really nice moment or a moment that conveys something that's important, and then it would fall off and you'd have to do, we're just gonna call it boring stuff, I was in Mr. JRPG stream yesterday or the day before, and I just mentioned you rise up to something super cool and then you fall down and because you got to go mow the lawn or something like that for 15 hours. And that's how a lot of the past Trails games kind of did their thing. So I'm glad they did not follow that same path. And I got to actually experience some stories that felt like they had a direction for them all the way through. That being said, I did not like all of the paths as much as some of the other paths, but it was definitely one of the better Trails games for me. It's in recent memory, anyways. Like if I think back to all the Trails games that I've played, this one is definitely high up on the list. It was nice, and I enjoyed it. For the story, I have to say that I was pretty on board with the story until the introduction of the AI. And I mentioned this before, that the AI, it's just kind of convenient that we're in an era of planet Earth right now where AI is just kind of like a hot topic, and sometimes AI can feel I don't necessarily want to say overdone, but maybe oversaturated right now. Just, you kind of see it all over the place. Hey, Digital Hearts. Um, so that part was like a little deflating, and I don't think anything that really came after that helped things get better in that regard. I didn't really like the ending. I didn't really like that Reen from another timeline was the administrator. I was really hoping for something else. The whole other Reen from another timeline thing, that's just entirely unnecessary. And I really don't know what purpose it serves or why they would even go that route. Maybe they'll do something with it in the future or whatever, but it just opens up a whole can of worms. What I can say, though, about what I really, really, really liked was Rufus's path. That one was just filled with so much cool information, cool places to go, cool characters to interact with. The story was always tackling something interesting, and like all of the characters were extremely memorable. Rufus, I was already a big fan of Rufus before this game. This game made me more of a fan of Rufus. It made him like shoot up a couple of ranks. He was probably already top 10, but maybe he's top 8, top 5 maybe. This gave him just so much more to his character. It was just fantastic. And Lapis is freaking amazing. Nadia is cool. Swin is pretty solid. I really liked Rufus's route. It was just so good. Reen's route, it was okay.
Hey, LP! Better book it or we'll leave you behind! Alright, I'm
Yeah, it was okay. Lloyd's route was definitely the weakest in my opinion. Um, it it opened up with something really really cool, which was uh, fake Rufus takes over. Like that was super cool, and then it just it started kind of getting boring. It started falling into like typical trails nonsense. Didn't really go anywhere for a really long time. It had a lot to do to make it interesting. And it kind of doesn't help that like I don't know what it is about the Crossbell cast, but they're just not as compelling to me as other cast members. Um they just get put into situations that are just not as interesting. They have dialogue sequences that are basically power friendship all the time. Um and a lot of the times they just don't get to do a lot of cool things um that other characters can do. Like they're police officers, but like how many times do we get to go police officering? You know, it, I don't know. I won't say Lloyd's Path was terrible or anything like that. I still had fun playing it, but it was uh, the weakest by far. There were like miles and miles and miles between Lloyd's Path and Reen's Path. And then, You got like a few galaxies between Lloyd's path and uh, Rufus's path. So there's that. Um, for the Reverie corridor, this surprised me because I thought one, it was going to be required to beat the game, and two, uh, I thought it would have been important to the story somehow, the way things were planning out. And at the very beginning of all of this, I said I do not want this to be another Trails in the Sky the Third. And I will definitely say it's not another Trails in the Sky the Third. But it did put another Phantasmagoria, Phantasma, whatever it's called, in this game. And they placed importance on it, and they did not assign any value towards it, um, which for me is disappointing. On the other hand, maybe it's just designed to be a nice little side quest area, and if that's the case, that's perfectly fine with me. I'm I'm good with that. Uh, I At the same time though, there's the lady on the cover of the game, and I was really expecting to see that particular character, and I have not seen anything about that character. So maybe we'll get something after this, but who knows? Um, for mechanics, I really like gameplay mechanics and design. I really like United Fronts. I think it adds a really nice strategical element beyond Brave points, and I like how they tackled that. One thing I do not like in this game, which I think I've mentioned many times, is the master quartz. I think they homogenize the master quartz way too much. Too many of the master quartz are the same. Too many of the master quartz are extremely weak, and like ultimately I found that there were a handful of good master quartz, and then there were a lot of master quartz that were trying to be good or trying to do something different. And I just don't think that those builds are good. You know, I don't want to go down to 1 HP so that I could do 120% more damage. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's just kind of worthless. Um, but it's fine. Let me see if I have anything written down. We won't even go into that. I think the route system is more detrimental to the storytelling. Yeah, blah blah blah. Really glad that they brought back disorders. Incredibly underutilized in prior games. I would totally agree with this, except that even though they brought back disorders, they did not like utilize disorders to like a good degree, I guess. Like bosses will just use it at the very start of the fight, and then they'll never use a disorder ever again. Maybe I killed them too quickly, but then again, like some of these fights, they're like 80 turns, 80 plus turns. You're not going to use a disorder again ever. Um, I feel like the boss is throwing out disorder randomly throughout the fight, with a sufficient cooldown or something like that, would have been very, very nice. Some of these bosses, you just kind of get into the groove of things. Another thing that I don't like, actually, um, when you get an enemy or a boss, I guess, to 50% HP, they get a little voice line, and then their break bar completely refills. Um, I'm sure that's to stop cheese and all other stuff, but man, is it annoying. Uh, there's got to be a better way. it kind of makes the break bar pointless for the first 50% of the HP. And then for the last 50% of the HP, it feels like it's much harder to get through it because you're more defensive at that point, because first you got to block against an S-craft, then you're doing less damage because of their little power up move and things like that. They're healing, they're buffing themselves up, they're doing more damage, yada yada. Um, it's just one of those problems. Um, for dungeons, I think there were tons of practical dungeon design nonsense, but we won't get into that. For cardinal sins, uh, let's forcing the player to use certain party members. We had a bunch of that. Um, I'm gonna say backup party members earn less experience as well. There was some shenanigans. I don't know if it's like the actual backup party members, but going between the routes, we had to level at different paces, and that's not very good. Um, let's see. That's that for sound. There was some great music. I am greatly looking forward to listening to the soundtrack for this game. For the graphics, I really enjoyed the visuals of this game. I think going into some of the areas in 3D was really, really cool. And just one of those really nice things of, oh, I saw these things from a different perspective and with different visuals. And now they're updated to be completely different. And it looks different. And it's very cool to experience that. For replay value, does the game offer additional story content in a second playthrough to warrant playing the game again? If we get anything. Loading clear data lets you carry over data from a previous playthrough to a new one. Reverie Corridor has been expanded. You can now explore and enjoy the Reverie Corridor even after finishing the game. Load a save after the main story has been cleared to explore beyond the fourth stratum and acquire new sealing stones. Plenty of additional content to be explored, so why not see what you can find? While the post main content takes place solely inside the Reverie Corridor, you could still save your data and start a new playthrough at any time. It's skipped or something. I guess I'll enter the Reverie Corridor. There's got to be a point to the Reverie Corridor, right? Hey, no other honor. Termination unsuccessful. All active processes could not be stopped. Reverie Corridor's post-game state has been unlocked. Now access the fourth stratum second half. About post-game Reverie Corridor. You can continue enjoying the Reverie Corridor even after clearing trails into Reverie. There's plenty of additional content to be discovered even after the main game, so you won't be able to directly return to the real world in this state, but you can create a clear data at any time by inspecting the mirror. You can now freely select which character you would like to walk around in the Reverie Garden as. You can choose which character you like to control when walking around. Please choose your initial party. That party looks good, except I removed everything from him, but we'll fix that. Ray has been upgraded to Enlightened Spirit Unification. More powerful, self-buffing craft without downsides. Okay. Epilogue.
Central core activated.
Well, I'm sure there's something in the Reverie corridor that gives us information. I don't know what it could possibly be, and if I'm being honest, I don't even know if I want to find out by playing it. I think I'd much rather watch Mr. JRPG or some other streamer go through it and, learn that way, which I guess is kind of unfortunate, but, these are the kind of things that happen. You should be telling your entire story and convey all the information that you want to convey that's important in the main story, and then you can leave everything else, all the fun stuff, all the mini games, all the daydreams, and the dungeon crawling and stuff like that for a post game. But I think that's going to wrap it up for my thoughts for today. Overall thoughts again, I had a lot of fun with this game. It certainly surprised me at how enjoyable this game turned out to be. Thought it was going to be something else, turned into something different than that, and I liked the way that it was going, and it gave me some characters that never been introduced to before that turned out to be very cool characters, and expanded on a character that I really enjoyed from past games. So, yeah, I had a good time. But that's going to wrap it up for me for today. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. Pacific, and we're going to be playing the next game. I'll see ya the next time I see ya. Peace. Oh, before I do that, these are the next thingamabobber, or the percentages. 15% of people have cleared the game as of Wednesday, July 12th. Oh, was there a patch today? There was a patch today. Okay. But yeah, now I'm out. Peace.